In 1833, Josiah Wilbarger, a native of either Kentucky or Virginia who had settled in Bastrop County, set off on a land surveying mission with 4 men by the names of Christian, Standifer, Strother, and Haynie. The group was near what we now know as 51st Street and Berkman Drive in Austin when a party of Comanche ambushed them. The settlers fired back, but they were very much outnumbered. Believing that Christian, Strother, and Wilbarger had all been mortally wounded in the attack, Standifer and Haynie escaped the area on horseback. While they had been correct about Christian and Strother, Wilbarger was still clinging to life. A ball had entered his neck, temporarily paralyzing him, but the assault was not over. As a Comanche warrior scalped him, he did not feel pain but could only hear what sounded like a peal of distant thunder. After the group of Comanche finally rode off, leaving him for dead, Wilbarger slipped in and out of consciousness. He managed to roll into the nearby creek, where he took a drink and stretched out in the cool water. After dragging himself back onto dry land, he once again fell asleep. He woke to discover that his bleeding had stopped, but that blowflies had already descended upon the wounds to his head and other parts of his body. After finding some snails for sustenance, Wilbarger resolved to make his way to the home of his friend, Reuben Hornsby, for help. But he had only staggered a short distance when he collapsed under an oak tree. Night fell, and as he lay in a state of half-wakefulness, half-sleep, a familiar figure appeared before him. It was his sister, Margaret Clifton. She urged him to stay where he was and assured him that friends would soon arrive to rescue him. Wilbarger begged her not to leave him, but she vanished almost as quickly as she had arrived, moving in the direction of the Hornsby cabin. Unbeknownst to Josiah, Margaret had died the day before at her home in Missouri. The news of her death would not reach her relatives in Texas until months later. Back at the Hornsbys, Reuben's wife, Sarah, found herself tormented with visions of Josiah Wilbarger lying beneath a tree, scalped and naked, but alive. When the dream happened the first time, she woke her husband, who assured her that it was nothing to concern herself about. When it happened a second time, she jumped out of bed and roused the group of men who were staying on the farm that night. They, too, were dismissive, but when the dream occurred again at around 3 o'clock in the morning, Sarah rushed to the kitchen and began preparing breakfast for her husband and the other men. Legend has it that she told them, "If you are not cowards, go at once." Standifer and Haynie had made it to the farm to deliver the news about the attack, and there was already a plan to go to the site and bury the bodies of Wilbarger, Christian, and Strother. But Mrs. Hornsby insisted that the men could not delay their journey to the site of the massacre, for Wilbarger had not been killed. He was, however, in serious danger of succumbing to his injuries. The party, though skeptical, set off at her urging. They arrived at the scene and found Christian and Strother deceased, and to their amazement, they found Wilbarger very weak, but still alive. Since he was in no state to travel all the way to his own home, they brought him to Mrs. Hornsby, who nursed him back to health. Josiah Wilbarger would live for 11 more years, running a successful cotton farm. His dedicated wife, named Margaret, just like his sister, fashioned protective coverings for his head. It's been said that she made them from her own wedding dress. Unfortunately, Josiah bumped his head on the door frame of his gin house one day in 1844. The damage to his old wound proved to be too severe, and he passed away a short time later at the age of 44. Sarah Hornsby would live until 1862. Josiah's brother, J.W. Wilbarger, wrote that Josiah and Mrs. Hornsby both maintained their stories until they died, and that the vision which so impressed Mrs. Hornsby was spoken of far and wide. So there you have it, the story of Josiah Wilbarger. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, y'all.